so we spend a lot of our efforts and energy and money trying to get Congress to see the value of improving working conditions in terms of pay and benefits.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The Veterans Affairs Department serves veterans across the country. It's very important to taking care of folks that serve this country, that in some cases, really gave up their lives in the military, gave up they become permanently disabled. A lot of these folks, a lot of veterans become homeless at some point. And so ensuring that they have health care is a very important thing, and ensuring that the workers who take care of them are also taken care of is very important, because much like teachers, their working conditions are the students' learning conditions. Well, VA workers, their working conditions are veterans' healing conditions, and so it's important that they are taken care of so that they can take care of our veterans. And they have the VA Council bargaining team has just announced a tentative agreement covering 291,000 employees at the VA, making that the largest public sector contract in the country. And here to talk about the specifics of that contract are Colin Barrett. He is a AFGE National VA Council National Representative, Local 1969 Vice President from the Minneapolis VAMC, and National VA Council Bargaining Team member, and William Bill Wetmore. He is an AFGE National VA Council third Vice President, Local 17 Secretary and Treasurer, and Council Bargaining Team member. Colin, Bill, welcome to the Valley Labor Report.
It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you. So before we get into this contract, Bill, could you talk to us about the work that you do in the VA?
Sure. I'm retired now, but I was for 42 years a attorney advisor with the Board of Veterans Appeals. If somebody's claim was not fully granted at the regional office level, then they appealed to the Board of Veterans Appeals for a decision that we would review without regard to the decision that was made just before they appealed it to us. So we would write a decision in a tentative decision in final form was the way my first judge described it.
Gotcha. And Colin, what about you?
I don't believe Colin's in. Calls in yet.
Colin hasn't called in yet. Okay, sorry about that. So, Bill, talk to us about, I've seen this, the AFGE. I'm also a member of Local 1858. AFGE mentioned on their Twitter account that that this tentative agreement comes after a lot of work from y'all on the bargaining team, obviously, but from VA workers across the country. They talk about more than 50 rallies have been hosted, 5,700 petition signatures, thousands of workers lobbying in Washington, D.C. A lot of work from VA workers to get to this tentative agreement. What was it that animated workers across the country at the VA to ensure that they were able to get this contract?
Well, I'm firmly convinced that was the outrageous proposals that management made to us when they reopened the contract back in 2017, and we negotiated that contract, and management was found in the Federal Labor Relations Authority and in the courts to have engaged in illegal bargaining. And so we came back and in 2020 and started bargaining again on a limited reopener. We only reopened 12 articles, 6 that we chose and 6 that management chose. Meanwhile, there was a sidebar discussion going on, which culminated in a meeting that I and several other members of the bargaining team, including Colin, attended with the national president of AFGE and on the other side, the secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, as well as the chief negotiator for the department and notable other figures, including general counsel, representatives of the department. So that kind of boiled down to the secretary kind of surprised me, and I think everybody else on our side of the table, by actually saying, well, if you just give me Article 23 as that we've tentatively agreed to, we'll give you the rest of the contract. And all of a sudden, it looked like we were done. We were scheduled to bargain on a schedule of 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off for until 2024. But now it looks like the bargaining is completed, and we'll have a contract in effect for 3 years that is changes in Article 23 and some conforming changes in other parts of the contract that will see us through well. I think for the good of the bargaining unit, we've made a good deal. It's not everything that we wanted, but it's not everything that wanted either. So I think it's a deal that both sides have agreed to. We've got signatures. And so we'll be moving forward with ratification process and then agency head review. We expect ratification to go forward smoothly, and we expect agency head review to go forward smoothly. And we'll have a new contract in sometime in the summer.
That's great to hear. And just remind folks and remind me about how the bargaining process started. You know, this has been a 5.5-year process that began under the last administration.
Correct. Yes. Their initial proposals, and they've gone through several chief negotiators. We've had Alma Lee, who's the president of the council, has been our chief negotiator throughout this process. And MJ Burke, Oscar Williams, and myself as national officers. And I should mention Kathleen Pachomsky, April Brazil, Steve Grogan, Colin Barrett, and as well as our attorneys, Thomas Dargan and Ibiden Roberts. We've been involved all along in this process from the beginning, from back in late 2017 when they reopened. And we've been struggling with their proposals. As I said, we've litigated them and prevailed. Their proposals were in simple terms out illegal. And so it's been through the efforts from the ground up. We're a union, and so we strongly believe in solidarity, and all the efforts that have been made by our people in the field, the rallies that you've mentioned, the petitions that have been signed, the trips to Congress to try and bring the department some reasonable level of participation in this process have finally paid off.
Well, that's great to hear. And at one point during the last administration, they tried to implement some of these proposals over before or without completely bargaining over it, right?
Correct. That was the main argument that we had and why we prevailed in court, because they illegally implemented across the federal government, not just for us. But we are second to the Department of Defense with a total of over 400,000 employees. As you mentioned, 291,000 represented by AFGE and the National Veterans Affairs Council. So they implemented that. They kicked us out of our offices. They took away our official time, and they took away all of our equipment to contact employees. So it was a very trying time for several years where we had to all kind of work as labor representatives on our own time on Saturdays and Sundays, and before and after our tours of duty. I retired in March of 2020 and took on a lot of the local work for a while there until we finally got our time and our space and our equipment back. But yes, very trying time. And again, all of it found to be illegal. The departments had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars because they did the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so in this new contract, let's talk about some of the things that we won. What would be, a couple of your big highlights that you think your members are going to be most excited about?
Well, we've kept everything in the contract. The contract is rolled over except for Article 23, which is it's a merit protection article, and but so we're still fully representing all of the doctors, nurses, the technicians, all the way down to housekeeping are fully. There are due process provisions of the contract. I think people are going to be happy about that. That we have basically still kept involved in pre-decisional matters, and we're fully negotiating at every level of the department to make sure that workers' rights are fully protected.
And another thing that y'all were able to do is maintain telework rights, which has been something that, under this administration, presumably we could imagine that they wouldn't be attacking telework, but in some cases, there are some managers that are, and certainly the Republicans in the House, are trying to pass a resolution attacking federal employees for telework, despite having absolutely no evidence that telework has actually affected the performance of federal workers or any workers for that matter. But I'm sure that's for the ones that are eligible for telework. I'm sure that this comes as a relief.
It does. I couldn't agree with you more, Jacob. Yeah, the Republicans have a bill in Congress called Show Up. The fact is, the statistics are there. The department has never been so effective at taking care of veterans' health care. They've never been so effective at taking care of veterans' benefits. And the Cemetery Administration continues to perform at an outstanding level. Evaluators over, I think, 98%, one of the leading segments of the whole federal government. So yes, telework is very important. Obviously, we have a lot of people who have to put their hands on veterans and treat them. And a lot of people that have to come in and, as I said, housekeeping, grounds people, painters, everything to keep this organization moving effectively. It depends on every part of it. But a lot of our people, we have a lot of telehealth care. We have a lot of people in the benefits side who, while many of them do have to see veterans one-on-one, many of them can do their work from home and are doing it. And as I say, the statistics show that the department has never been performing at a higher level.
Right. And you also mentioned the AFGE mentioned in their in some of their media about this that they have that y'all been able to protect workplace health and safety rules. Expand on that a little bit.
So we have, I think arguably the most important thing that any union can do is provide a safe environment for the employees and the people that we represent. And management wanted to attack several sections of our Article 29, which is pertaining to health and safety in the work environment. They felt that they wanted more management flexibility, more discretion to affect things at the workplace that we have been defending for many years, since 2011, when we signed this current contract. And so people get to properly report and abate problems with asbestosis, with mold. People get to be protected against the hazards of the environment, things like laying electric line in ditches. It's a myriad of problems that happen on the work site. The most dangerous or the people that get injured the most at work turns out to be registered nurses. That's my understanding. I haven't know stats, but again, we represent about 60,000 registered nurses, and we need to make sure that we're properly protecting our healthcare workers against the dangers of the environment.
And the last thing that I wanted to make sure that we touched on is the streamlined hiring process. President Everett Kelly mentioned in the press release that actually the VA has oftentimes lost qualified applicants due to the quote lengthy hiring process. So talk to us about what the hiring process looks like before the VA and what applicants can expect it to look like going forward.
Well, I wish we'd solved all the problems in the hiring process. That would require some legislation and some change in OPM regulations. And I'm not sure that we want to speed it up so much that we hire people who aren't as good as they should be. But I couldn't agree with National President Kelly more that we do need to streamline the process. We've been working with the department to hire fast and hire right.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these are crucial to the hiring process. We have given the department several tools that they asked for. That is, we've made the putting employees on hiring panels discretionary to the department where it was compulsory before. We thought that it was a good idea to have people who do the work be involved in hiring people who are going to do the work. We've eliminated areas of consideration. We've let the department hire from any place. We thought that it was good for morale to hire at the facilities first and then go outside for qualified people. And finally, we've cut down the posting period from 15 calendar days to 15 work days to 8 calendar days in order to allow for the department to hire more quickly. We were kind of persuaded in some of those things because the department has been swamped with applications now. Oddly enough, many people are looking for healthcare jobs, and we're looking to work in the benefits side and even the cemetery side of the department because there's a lot of good things to say about federal employment. Not the pay, certainly. Mm-hmm. The benefits, the annual leave, the family-friendly leave, all those benefits are something that private industry is still working to create in their jobs. So we have those things in the federal government, and we think that we're going to try and cut down the hiring time by 10 days. So instead of 90 days, it would be 80 days. Instead of for our nurses and doctors, who I think understandably, we're more concerned that they are properly vetted and make sure that we're not hiring people who might cause harm. So that process still will take probably 120 days, and it's a problem. And I don't know how to, again, making sure that we hire the right people is as important as hiring them quickly. So I don't think we can eliminate that problem. I don't think people are going to just hire somebody and have them working the next day. I don't think that's ever going to occur.
Right. And that makes sense. And, you know, being a union radio program, we've got a lot of people that listen to us that are members of unions, and a lot of people that are members of unions in the private sector. And so they may be something that may be noticeably absent to them is a lack of discussion about wages and health care. And so the difference between private sector and federal employment is that for federal employees, the salary and those healthcare type benefits are actually set by Congress, right? But that doesn't mean that AFGE is totally, out to lunch on VA workers' pay and healthcare and retirement. Talk to us about some of the efforts that y'all have on ensuring federal employees get those additional benefits as well.
Yeah, Jacob, you're right on point as far as that goes. And as you've been so entirely through this program, I appreciate that. Yes, we can talk about wages. We can talk about benefits with the department. We can't negotiate those things like as they do in private industry, and those are crucial matters for people in private industry. One of the advantages of it is that there's no discrimination in terms of wages. Women who hold a GS-8 job or a GS-15 job get paid the same as the men. But so what we can do, and we do, and it's part of our three-legged approach to representing employees, we negotiate, we litigate, and we legislate. And so we spend a lot of our efforts and energy and money trying to get Congress to see the value of improving working conditions in terms of pay and the benefits of insurance and health care that VA employees, in our case, VA employees, but of course, if we prevail, then everybody, all federal employees benefit from it.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you think folks ought to know about this contract, or what AFGE is doing, what our VA workers are doing in AFGE?
No, I think that you covered the ground very successfully, Jacob. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you, and I hope that your listeners have benefited from my observations.
Bill, I appreciate your time. Bill Wetmore, AFGE National VA Council, 3rd Vice President, Local 17 Secretary and Treasurer, and bargaining team member for the National VA Council. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.